We are following two major media stories tonight, and if you aren't following them, turn the volume up. Let's start with TikTok. The mega popular video sharing platform has officially finalized a deal to create a new American entity, averting a U.S. ban. A ban that was voted on, signed, approved. Now we're just pretending that never happened by handing a majority ownership, not the whole thing, to several big U.S. firms, many of which have very close ties to President Trump. Meanwhile, the FCC now claims daytime and late-night talk shows must comply with equal time rules that gives airtime to views of opposing candidates. The Nightcap is still here. Eddie, let's start with TikTok, because the whole reason for the ban originally was about national security concerns because the app's ties to China. But I said majority ownership is American. ByteDance still owns nearly 20%.
All right, so we know, bottom line, it was about who's going to be raking in all the cash that TikTok generates, it seems. Look, we're in a moment where we're facing a five-alarm crisis with regards to our democracy at every level. And the fourth estate is in crisis. The very ways in which Americans acquire their information in order to engage in informed deliberation about how they're going to self-govern. So how are we acquiring our information? Social media has made that complicated. It's even more complicated now with CBS, PBS, all the stuff that's happening in the media landscape. So here we see Greed doing his work, and we see Greed ideologically capturing a space that's really important for Americans to acquire the information to do the work that democracy requires. So it's another pillar, right? Another, shall we say, load-bearing thing that's cracked, if that makes sense.
So he wants to take over the world, right? He's like Augustus Gloop in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He just keeps eating and eating and eating, right? And that's who he is. He's like Gru. He wants the moon. He wants to take over the world. And anything that gets in his way, he tries to destroy. And in addition to being focused on NATO and focused on our allies and focused on our institutions, he's constantly focused on the media. He wants to destroy the American institutions of media. And he started with way back when Twitter used to be a normal thing and has now been corrupted into X. He came after NPR and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and CBS and the Washington Post and CNN and plenty of folks here, right? And a big chip on the chessboard is TikTok. Right? And there's still a national security concern, because if the Chinese have 20% of every phone in America, we should all be concerned. Yeah. But the real danger now is with 80% owned by his allies, they can twist TikTok into X. That's what it can become. It can become the most effective propaganda machine on the planet for Donald Trump. And that's why it is about our national security, but it is about slowing him down and stopping his ability to consume things that will perpetuate his power. He knows anything standing in his way must be knocked down. And that included Stars and Stripes this week. Another media target he swept up is the independent media agency that covers the Pentagon and the veterans world. He's going after Stars and Stripes too, and he's going after anybody that can slow him down, because his real war is against the truth, and anyone who can tell the truth must be eliminated.
My God. And just this week, right, the president calls Greenland Iceland. We all watched it several times. And then the White House said, no, he did not do that. The White House now has its own communications apparatus, including posting AI-generated content that's simply not true.
Yeah, that happens, and Twitter is done. I guess I wonder. I don't have kids who are on TikTok. I think maybe you do. Do you have kids on TikTok?
My kids think it's a national security problem, and so they're not on TikTok.
Hers are special and brilliant. Yeah.
I'm wondering if they stand for it. I'm wondering to the extent that, look, I go so far back it's a little bit scary, but you remember in Russia?
No.
No? The fax machine was going to maintain democracy. I mean, it wasn't true.
Yes.
It didn't work. But at the same time, technology keeps moving on to the extent that the administration, and this is maybe more hopeful than it should be, takes a heavy hand to these social media things, and you turn it on. For me, every time I open Twitter, which is less and less, there's an Elon Musk tweet up there. Do you guys have the same thing?
Totally.
Yeah. And there's no way I can figure out to get rid of it.
No.
And he is obviously and always sort of pushing some completely wrong lie or something like that.
Big Brother style.
What's that?
Like Big Brother.
Yes,
like Big Brother
by
style.
design, yeah.
And so I don't do it. and I have a right not to do that. And I'm wondering the extent to which the TikTok generation is going to stand
Brother, please.
for
We're
being.
sitting here
cannot
going,
cut
I'm
that
sick
cord,
of social
man.
media as we're
They're not-
scrolling.
Am I wrong about that?
No, you're not wrong. Except the fact that they're addicted to it and they can't
But,
stop it.
I can't be wrong.
But I do think we are living in a culture that, like, both Democrat and Republican legislators made, right? They decided not to regulate technology.
Exactly, Mom.
They
Yes.
decided not
They
to put
love going
guardrails.
out to dinner with Facebook lobbyists in D.C. That's, I mean, it doesn't matter what party you're in.
Right, and they also didn't incentivize local media and mainstream media, nonpartisan media, just reporting itself. They didn't incentivize that. Like, we are we are what we support. And in the UK, they have numerous newspapers. I mean, we did this, right? This is government. Our government got us here, and it's certainly made much worse by Trump, but both parties got us to this moment.